Welcome to a video on the auditor's report. This is specifically the report of the independent auditors, the CPAs. The independent auditor's role is to attest to the fairness of the financial statements. Their opinion is based on their substantive audit work. 4 types of opinions possible: unqualified with an additional paragraph that's either explanatory or an emphasis paragraph, a qualified opinion, or an adverse opinion. We're going to introduce each of these now, and keep in mind that you'll have an auditing course where you'll learn both how to do these reports. You'll also learn how to conduct the substantive work to support your opinion. Unqualified opinions. Unqualified means that if an unqualified opinion is rendered, that opinion is saying that indeed the financial statements are presented in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. When the company needed to make an estimate, they made it fairly. Thus, the financial statements as a whole present fairly the financial position, the results of operations, and the cash flows of the company. Also, the internal controls over financial reporting are functioning well. That's an unqualified opinion. Now let's look at the unqualified opinions. Oh, by the way, that's most of them are going to be. Most opinions at companies are unqualified. A few are unqualified but have an explanatory paragraph or an emphasis paragraph. Let's see what explanatory paragraphs might look like. These are unqualified opinions, but the auditor believes that information about the annual report needs to be explained to users. Issues in explanatory paragraphs might include lack of consistency. Something is different about one year relative to the other. Or a going concern. That means that the information is presented fairly, but as the independent auditor, we believe there's significant doubt that this company is going to be able to continue as a company. We're afraid it's going to go bankrupt. We're fear there's a higher than normal probability of bankruptcy, inability to service the debt. The issue in the explanatory paragraph might also relate to a material misstatement in previously issued financial statements that has been corrected. So you'll see an explanatory paragraph occasionally. You'll also see an emphasis paragraph occasionally. An emphasis paragraph is an unqualified opinion, but the auditor wants to emphasize a matter to the users before they start analyzing these financial statements and using the information. Maybe the emphasis point is a significant transaction or with related parties. Maybe it's an important event that occurred subsequent to the balance sheet date of these financial statements. That's called a subsequent event. Maybe it's an uncertainty related to the future outcome of some issue, like significant litigation or regulatory actions. And that's an emphasis paragraph. That sort of thing you'd see in a emphasis paragraph, where in an otherwise unqualified opinion. Let's talk about opinions other than unqualified. First is a qualified opinion. Qualified opinion can result because the audit process was somehow limited. But this limitation was not deemed to be of sufficient seriousness to invalidate the financial statements as a whole. Another possibility is there's a departure from GAAP. But again, the departure is not of sufficient seriousness to invalidate the financial statements as a whole. The audit process was limited. I'll give you an example of that I had in the real world. I had a client for which it was impossible to audit the inventory because the inventory consisted of lime that was beneath the Mississippi River. So we didn't feel we could audit the amount they assigned to it adequately. And we just said, well, these financial statements, they've applied, the company's applied the rules well, they've made their estimates fairly, but do keep in mind that we can't audit their amount for inventory. It's impossible. In a departure from GAAP, there the independent auditor is saying the company did not follow the rule properly for some transaction according to generally accepted accounting principles, according to the rules, but it's not a huge issue. Just keep it in mind. And they would have described that departure. An adverse opinion is the really bad one. You're rarely going to see the adverse opinions. The adverse opinion is that the auditor has specific knowledge that the financial statements or disclosures are seriously misstated or they're misleading. This is rare, and the reason it's rare is the auditors will usually convince the client to rectify the problem to avoid an adverse opinion. Finally, there's a possibly disclaimer of an opinion. Here, the independent auditor is saying, we're just not able to gather sufficient information to opine that the financial statements are in conformity with GAAP. These two are fairly rare. And that's an introduction to the audit report. Again, you'll learn much, much, much more in auditing class. Have a great day.